Okay, and I would want us to look at performance appraisal. Just mentioned there, performance appraisal. It's a wide terminology capturing two topics, performance appraisal. And I would want us to start with the quantitative models. I would want us, number one, to start with what we call the balanced scorecard. What we call the balanced scorecard. What we call the balanced what here? Balanced scorecard. Balanced scorecard. So you'll be able to see these things in your course outline that I sent to you this morning. So balanced scorecard. So if you're writing there, ladies and gentlemen, if you're writing there, you must, are you able to see this board of mine very well, really? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this is good enough. So we have here balanced scorecard. Balanced scorecard, balanced scorecard. Balanced scorecard. Okay. So when you talk of balanced scorecard, don't make a lot of notes. I'll also send you notes immediately after this. Basically, this is an instrument. An instrument that is used to appraise the performance of an entity from four perspectives. From four perspectives. Very popular in your exam. We have the four perspectives. The first one is the financial perspective. The first one is the financial perspective. The second one, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call the customer perspective. Customer perspective. Then we have what we call the internal business processes perspective. Processes perspective. And then we have what we call learning and what here? Learning and innovation. Learning and innovation. If you look at your past papers, you'll be able to see so many questions talking about the balanced scorecard. Now, it will be very important for us, first of all, to ask ourselves a question. Why do we call this instrument a balanced scorecard? What is it balancing in between? It's balancing between long-term goals vis-a-vis short-term goals. Long-term goals vis-a-vis what here? Short-term goals. All right. So long-term goals, remember, here in the past, before they started introducing models of this nature, people basically used to think about short-term. Because initially, people used to talk about investors or shareholders' perspective. And what else do shareholders want, in this case here, the organization to do for them, apart from just maximizing profit? They know that when profits are maximized, then they shall be able to get their dividends out of, in this case here, the profits declared. So the shareholders basically, ladies and gentlemen, want all throughout, they want the profits of the company to be maximized. They don't care what you need to do to ensure that you maximize the profit. So in this case here, even if you're cutting costs, which may even lead to compromising of the quality of products, you're cutting costs, such as, for example, training costs. So long as you reduce your cost and your profits go up, then they will be very, very happy. And then now there came somebody who came and spoke about stakeholder theory. Stakeholder theory. So this guy who spoke about stakeholder theory, he came and told us that no, I mean there is a wider view over interested parties. That for this firm to be able to stand and run how it is running, there are very many parties involved other than the shareholders. For example, we have customers, is an interested party. We have suppliers, is an interested party. We have, in this case, the surrounding community is an interested party. We have employees that are interested. We have management that are interested. So in this case, under stakeholder management, they came and said, hey, there is no way you'll be able to just think about just one stakeholder who is a shareholder. No, we must look at the bigger perspective. And then they discovered that the stakeholders called the shareholders, then they would want maximum profit at the end of the year. But for the company to be there in the long term, what we call longevity, then it has to do some sacrificing of profits today. They invest in their future. So then that is how this balanced scorecard model was born. So you're balancing between short-term versus what here? Long-term goals. And then we are also balancing between quantitative versus what here? Qualitative. Quantitative versus qualitative. Quantitative, of course, we look at performance appraisal from the numbers perspective. Qualitative, now we shall be looking at those variables that people may think they are very, very useless, but yet they are the most important variables. Remember, qualitative variables are those variables that you cannot count, you cannot, in this case here, measure. Listen and listen to me very well. Like now here, we have a few students, of course. We may want to do some kind of statistics, perhaps in this case here, get our average weight. So how do we get our average weight? It's very easy. What we need to do is to bring a weighing scale. And then we step on that scale. And then we are able to say Joshua Aura, 80 kilograms. Another person, 70 kilograms. Another one, 60 kilograms. So what are we doing for the weights to get values of weights? We are basically measuring ourselves. So weight happens to be what here? A quantitative variable. The same case with height. But you see, there are things that you cannot measure, nor do what here? Count. For example, if you have a young man who is married here, the worst mistake you can ever do is to start quantifying the beautifulness of your wife in front of your colleagues. To start quantifying, tell them that, you know what, my wife is 110% beautiful. You'll be seen to be the most useless person on this earth. Because female beauty, you can't really quantify it. That's why we normally say that it's quite subjective. It depends on the beholder's eyes. What is beautiful to you may not be beautiful to me. So in business, there are variables that are quite, you can't count them, you can't evaluate them in terms of money, but they are very, very important. We call them what are qualitative factors. Like, for example, customer satisfaction. Customers who are satisfied so much this time around, they'll give you business in future. 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 So when we talk of this balanced scorecard, then what are we looking at? These four perspectives are very, very easy to remember. We have the financial perspective. And the financial perspective, basically, we are looking at the profits. And how do we get profits? We normally get profits by taking revenue minus what here? Minus cost. Revenue minus cost. So under the financial perspective, you need to be increasing your revenues by the day. Revenues must grow. But costs must do what here? Reduce, or cost must be contained. Or cost must be contained. So revenues are growing. Costs should be contained. Look at biggest companies like Safaricom. The revenues are going up, but trust you me, those guys are always downsizing their staff. They're always reducing their staff. They're always reducing their staff. So basically, they would want to have their costs contained, because it is through increasing your revenues and reducing your costs that you will always have your profits going up. So any firm that is going to be sustainable in the future, according to balanced scorecard, is that firm that is able to increase its profits every year. The financial muscle, in this case, is measured using profits. So profits must be growing, revenues must be growing, cost, if possible, if not contained, cost should be going down, like that. From there now we have the customer perspective. Or rather, we still come back to this. We also have other ratios that must be growing for us to talk over a healthy organization. For example, we expect things like EPS, earnings per share, etc., to keep on doing what you're growing like that. So we'll come back to this, but now let's tackle the customer perspective. These guys who discovered this model, in this case here told us that, who are these guys by the way? They are Kaplan and Norton. Professors here, Kaplan and Norton. They're the ones who discovered this model. So they told us 4 things that you must really do for you to be able to get it right under this customer's perspective. The first thing that you must do in this case here is to acquire new customers. So customer acquisition. Then we have, after you've acquired them, they are already students of RCM, you must ensure that these customers are satisfied. So customer satisfaction, customer satisfaction, customer satisfaction, customer satisfaction. Customers must be satisfied. Issue questionnaires around. And then this customer should be able to evaluate teachers, for example, and tell us, for example, you're satisfied with Dr. Aura up to, say, this particular percentage, and he has got this percentage to improve, and these are the things we think he needs to improve. Great, customer satisfaction. And then, of course, from them, we have in this case here what we call loyalty. Loyalty. Loyalty is all about repeat business. You could come, for example, to RCM. If you're not satisfied very well, you will never, in this case here, come back to RCM for your subsequent papers. And really, that is what happens outside here. Because you get like CPA students, here there must be a student who started their CPA by, for example, going to like Summit. They moved to another college. They went to another college. Now here they are at RCM, but now I want to believe that RCM now is home. They'll never move out of here because they're going to be what here loyal. So loyalty is all about going back to the same kind of business for what here, for your products and services. Great organizations have loyalty programs. Even as RCM Online College, we need to have a loyalty program. We should never take it for granted whenever we get customers who are coming to buy from us. We should never take it for granted. So we need a loyalty program like Safaricom has the bonga point. The more you bonga, the more the points they give you. So even, for example, as RCM, what we need, although we don't have it at the moment, what we need to sit down and start looking at, for example, a student who has given us business from, say, ATD or from CPA, in this case here, level 1, and this student has been passing throughout, and now he is at the apex there, he's almost finishing here. Why can't we say, for example, like one paper like BDA? If you have been with us throughout, one paper, then you should be able to get that paper for free. I mean, it's good, food for thought. Number one, you will inspire your students to pass every semester. Because you see, for you to be able to enjoy that, then you must have passed throughout every semester, and you must have been with us every other semester. Semester 1, you come back to semester 2, you do your exams pass, come back to semester 3. If that condition is met, and you've been around, ladies and gentlemen, with us here for that long, then we give you one paper. Remember, when Nakumat used to be Nakumat, when they used to tell us that if you need it, we've got it. What was happening? Great things were happening there. All of us would move all the way from Upper Hill. We used to walk those days, and we would go straight away to Nakumat, downtown. There's another Nakumat in this case that got burnt down near Nation Center. So we used to go to those stores. Why? Because they used to have a Zawadi points. And the Zawadi points were very nice because at the end of the year, I would redeem them for fees. We tell them, write a check. So I would ensure that from the beginning of the year, I'm simply pumping my Zawadi points into that card. So I get Zawadi points. At the end of the year, I redeem. And trust you me, because of that kind of an arrangement of Zawadi points, a loyalty program, which basically is supposed to be paying those customers who have been with this company for long, it used to make us leave other good stores, other good supermarkets. You could just see them on the way. And we would walk majestically to Nakumat and buy from them. Because simply my interest here was, and remember, in those old days, some goods that were being sold by Nakumat were a little bit expensive. But you see, because of the loyalty program, at the end of the day, you get like your memory, or rather your mind, automatically is trained towards just walking to Nakumat because of what here? Loyalty program. Is there anybody here who works for an organization that has got a clearly spelled loyalty program? Is there anybody who is working for any company that has got, a company that has a strategy, a loyalty strategy, which is well written down and it's being executed? If no, then all of you are basically like Mwalimu here, who is working for RCM, which is still thinking about having a loyalty program in the near future. For sure, for us, I want to believe by 2024, we should be having a strategy. We should be having a strategy. We should be having a strategy. So there is nobody who is talking about their company here. Who is talking about their company here? Nobody. So then, if you allow me, I'll be able to introduce the last thing that I would want you to write here. Under customer perspective, we have something also called awareness. Awareness. So under awareness, we are always required to publicize whatever products or services we are offering. We must publicize them. There is no way you'll tell us in this age and era that high quality products or goods will be able to endear themselves to people. There is no way you'll be able to tell me that high quality products and goods will be able to sell outside there without us putting in effort. That is an old Israeli adage which used to cheat us. It cheated us for so long, up to now. You will get very good like Otieno and Associates, Mongi and Associates companies here, old firms, they are not able to rise to the occasion simply because they were told by their professional body, they were told in this case here by whoever, that advertising yourself is a bad thing. That Swahili adage, if you can remember it, it used to tell us chema chajiuza, kibaya chajitembeza. They cheated us. It doesn't matter how good your products are. Nowadays, you must get out there and display your merchandise. You must be good in social media. You must be good in print media. You must be good in guerrilla tactics, below the line tactics, including giving flyers, pamphlets outside there. At times you give a pamphlet, somebody looks at it like this, just knocks it down as you see. Quite demotivating, but now that is what the world wants us to do. We must make our products well known outside there. Look at farms that are doing very well, even during this, still COVID issues are still with us. Of course, the disease has subsided quite heavily, but the effects are still rife. There are companies that will never wake up, having gone to slumber because of COVID, they'll never wake up. Even these big companies are still struggling. Like now, big companies, I know of one big company which has not been able to bring back the staff to work because simply the staff have said we shall work from home. And should you insist that we must come back to work, then this job is as good as gone. We don't even need it. Right? So still people are really reeling out of what here? COVID-19. Right? But under this COVID-19, we still have organizations that are doing extremely well. And those organizations that are able to do that well under this global economic crisis, simply they get to do that well because of how they publicize whatever that they do. If you look at a company like EABL, I would rate EABL very, very high in terms of marketing. And they really know who their target market is. They know that their target market is not Judith. They know that their target market in this case here is not Imar. It's not Rose Kirwa. It's not Shedi Otieno. Now you guys already, you are up there in terms of what year? In terms of age. And tumesha chapa tayari. We are over 24, maybe 25 up there. EABL looks for the very youngest. They tap, ladies and gentlemen, onto kids who are even in high school. Of course, they say no underage, but look at all the advertisements. For example, they'll come and say that if you'd want to roar like a lion, if you would want to roar like a lion, bring which brand? Bring which brand? Can somebody in this case? Of course, I know all of us are saved, but out of marketing, out of their good marketing, we must have heard of those slogans. Please talk to me. That's how I get to know whether we are together. Please talk to me. So if you want to roar, ukitaka kunguruma, kama mfalme, ukunywe brand gani? Maybe I can tell you that one. Maybe I can tell you that one. In this case, if you want to roar like a lion, according to them, you should drink Pilsner. Guruma kama simba. Guruma kama mfalme. You see, you and I at our age, we know there is nothing that can make you to roar like a lion in this world. But somebody who is in Form 2, who has been a very cool kid, he doesn't talk, but now he has reached a level where he feels, hey, I need to get out of this comfort zone and start talking. So as he tries to practice, like, what can I do to be able to talk before 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, he comes across that particular advert. telling him you can roar like a lion. So he tries the first bottle, second bottle, and of course you and I know that nowadays the kind of alcohol being sold outside here is not your 1954, it's not your 1970 alcohol. This one here, they must be racing this alcohol with highly addictive substances. That's why you'll go to a restaurant and they get a friend of yours who happens to be a lady, perhaps this lady was my student, and the way they are taking whiskey, you wonder whether this is somebody's daughter. Here you can't blame them, because me, I know, having done a few things for these guys who are in the alcohol industry, I can assure you that these guys are not to any good. Whatever they are putting in those alcohol substances is not very good. That is why you'll get somebody rushing to a club. Maybe they work up to 5. So at 5, you get somebody literally running to a club and they're sweating, they're trembling before they take their first bottle. So if you can stay away from it, the better. But again, remember, those guys are what here very good in terms of publicizing their services and products. So they'll come and they say, for example, if you want micro power, do you want to have micro power? If you tell them yes, then they tell you, do Guinness. Do you want to stand tall? And remember, this is a very young man, who in this case is very short like myself, 5'6", 5'5". So, and now breweries is cheating this guy, but if you want to stand tall, just forget about everything else, look for a bottle of Tusker. So they are very good in terms of publicizing what they do. The same case with Safaricom. If you want the biggest and the best billboards, go to, for example, somewhere near Nairobi here, near railways. If you want to see the biggest billboards, of course, those billboards belong to Safaricom, the better option. So what percentage of your revenues are you investing in marketing? Serious firms will tell you 10%. 10%. So we must publicize, especially you as an accountant. If you're an accountant who is not very good in social media, trust you me, you are in the wrong industry. You are in the wrong industry. All accountants must be very good in social media, because that is what Kaplan and Norton tells us under the balanced scorecard model. We must know how to market organizations in social media. We may not be doing the marketing ourselves, but you see, as a CFO, you need to really know CFO is a big role which goes beyond just number crunching, which goes beyond financial reporting. You will get most of these activities here and there that have got a financial connotation, they still are under you. So when you are seen to understand their roles and you're able to support them financially, when they come to you telling you that, hey, we need to put a newspaper advert, 2 pages at Nation, and the 2 pages at Nation prime places, they are costing 1.5 million. Don't stand on your 2 feet and then you start screaming, how would I would want to minimize what you call? Then as an accountant, you're failing. We need to be very good in TikTok, marketing our companies, and we get to learn how companies are being marketed from the company that you're working in, because ultimately all of us would want to do business, right? So you use this as a platform to know how to market, because you know marketing is the biggest task for any organization. I can get, in this case here, a very good accountant to account things for me. If it's a hospital, I can hire a doctor from a university here to come and treat my patients. But bringing in patients to, like Nairobi Hospital, those guys go through hell. So if you're planning to start business in the near future, it will be very important for you to do what here, to consider always being part and parcel of their marketers. So awareness is key. From there, we go to internal business processes. In terms of rolling this wheel of development as a company, our internal business processes should be automated. So you're looking at automated business processes. So if it's financial reporting, you must be having a very good tool. And nowadays, in terms of financial reporting, the best automatic system that is able to give you many things and do reconciliations for you, which in this case is VAT compliant. VAT is well inside there. All right, it's Tally Systems. It is Tally Systems. So in this case, you must ensure that you automate your internal business processes, not only accounting processes. all processes from production, etc., customer relationship management, all those particular things are supposed to be automated. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the other thing you're supposed to know about these business processes, they are not coming to run themselves on their own. They need human intervention. They need leaders, you and I, to come and lead a team, and ensure that this team is able to deliver. And that is why they normally combine these automated systems with a proper, with effective management techniques, the most modern ones. Effective management techniques, because even if your processes are really up there, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have managers who understand what is to be done in these businesses, those particular processes will not be able to run themselves alone. No, we need proper leadership. We need leadership that, for example, understands Henry Fayol principles. If you remember the Henry Fayol's 14 principles, if you remember them, although I don't want to talk about these a lot, the Henry Fayol's principles of management, we normally cram them this way. Dad, you see, Dad, you see, USSR, question mark, oh, I see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now there's so many. It means this should be C. This is the normal one here. Yes. It's supposed to be 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Why 15? They're supposed to be 14. They're supposed to be 14. So 3, Dad, I can see. Dad, you see, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yes, great. So Dad, you see USSR. Oh, I do what here? Oh, I see. They're supposed to be 14 in total. But this first T stands for disciplined workers. Even if you have very good systems and you happen to be having workers who are indisciplined, workers who come to work, for example, very late, and some of them, they come while drunk, then as an organization, you'll not be able to go very far. Know where you're going. We need order in the workplace for this process to work. We need the concept of work initiatives where employees are able to come up with ideas that they contribute to ensure that we are able to move forward. Then we have what we call equity, the principles of what fairness. For systems to work, we must be fair. Very, very important. I don't want to belabor talking about this, but I hope you have taken your notes. You'll be able to search Dad, you see, USSR, OIC, and then get to know like remuneration. If you're not paying your workers very well, you're not remunerating your workers very well, then at the end of the day, they'll go and leave you struggling with your systems like that. Ladies and gentlemen, from there we have what we call learning and what here? Innovation. Under learning and innovation, we expect you to set aside a budget for training your workers. Because remember, for us to be able to be effective and efficient in whatever that we do in our companies, then employees' competence must be put up there. So you must have a good budget. Say like 1 or 2% of your sales should go towards staff training, and call some of us to come to your companies and train your staff. Remember, under learning, this learning perspective, we normally use what we call Dr. Gilbert's couple principles. Gilbert's principles. If you remember this couple, as many couples are fighting outside here, we have got some very serious couples as well outside there. So Gilbert's couple said that every individual in a company has to do 3 things. These 3 things are which ones here? Number 1, every person must be a doer. And you can only do if you're well trained. This thing of saying that you're the boss, seated on some comfortable chair, swinging around as every other person is working except yourself, is a long gone era concept. Nowadays, regardless of how senior you are, you must make your hands dirty. You must work. You can't trust, like you're telling people to write proposals for you and they've never taken time to look at it, even a single proposal. Let your employees know that you're really at the middle, the center cog of this wheel. You're at the middle of everything. Of course, I appreciate that we have what we call delegation, but remember, you don't delegate too much, because the Gilbreth couple have told us that everybody in the company must be a doer, And then, ladies and gentlemen, after being a doer, apart from that, number 2, that everybody, for purposes of succession planning, everybody must be a trainer. Everybody must be a trainer. Everybody. Like if there's a department which has a problem, it is a finance department. You old people who got jobs long time ago, you are very, very mean with training people who come to your department. That's very wrong. As an accountant, never feel in this case that you are threatened at your workplace. As an accountant, like where I work, I would want to leave a legacy behind. So I would want to train people so that should I exit the company, I don't want to get outside there when I go for interviews. When other doors open for me, I'm doing interviews outside there. And then when people ask me, where have you worked? I mentioned I've been working at RCM. And then RCM has been running, for example, on the dailies that it has issues. Perhaps there's even a collapse. Why would you want a firm that you've been working for, which has been giving you lots of food for all those years, to collapse after you leave? You need to get out of that kind of a thought, that kind of a notion, and embrace training, because it is one of the highly spoken about attributes in the balance scorecard. You must train, because whether you like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are not immortal as human beings. We are mortal, whether I like it or not. One day I have to exit from this world. That is the truth of the matter. So if I exit from this world, and it happens that I've not trained my kids, I've not trained even my employees who are here on how they can take over, then I have a problem. So everybody must be a trainer. And then lastly, regardless of your level, everybody must be what here? Must be a trainee. Everybody must be a trainee. Everybody must be who? Must be a trainee. Everybody must be a trainee. Even the CEO, you need to have in place what we call a mentorship program. You need a mentorship program if you really need to do what you to succeed, if you really need to succeed as an organization. And then we have what we call innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, innovation, as you shall see in the notes and even in your past papers, innovation really is about coming up with new ways of doing things. For us, innovation would be, how many new products did you produce last year? That's how we measure innovationness. A company like EABL, I would give it 200 point something percent in terms of innovation. It has exceeded my expectations by far. These guys are coming up with new wines, with new types of alcohol. Like I remember in 2011, they hired my firm to do what we call agronomics for them. Agronomics basically is a study over a company's, how a company's product can be tailored, can be tweaked to the needs of a disadvantaged group. So like as the RCM, or rather as CASNEB, CASNEB has got a policy on PWDs, people living with disabilities. And for example, when you go there, you are able to do your exam in 3 hours and 30 minutes. They add you some few minutes, which is, again, as somebody was telling us yesterday, those minutes are not what, they're not enough. Because it's somebody who has got one limb. How do you expect, if the person in this case here who is normal, well-abled, is doing this paper in 3 hours and they're not able to finish, how about somebody who has got one limb, and perhaps in this case here, the limb that got broken down was the right hand, all right? And then of course, now this person is trying to train himself or herself on how to write using her left or his left hand. So how do you expect that kind of a person to finish exams? So once in this case they craft something so nice that is able to make these people living with disabilities to study the course, then in terms of ergonometry, we'll say that CASNEB is doing very well. So in terms of ergonometry, in 2011, breweries wanted to look at some cadre of staff, some cadre of customers who are women. They felt that women are disadvantaged. So my firm was simply doing a simple research. We went to very many restaurants all over Kenya, in these good restaurants and good hotels. Anytime we got a lady drinking, even if it was water, and they were willing, of course, integrity and ethics purposes, it will be very important for you to tell somebody that this is research that I'm doing. So once they consent to us getting information from them, so now you tell them, here are the questions. I'm interviewing you. Question number one, why are you drinking water? Why are you not drinking breweries product? And then very many ladies said, would have loved to drink Tusker or whichever, but those things are so bitter. They are so bitter. And that is why from 2012, around there, they started making the snap. Please don't try those things at home. The snap, Tusker cider. I'm told they're very sweet, but I don't take them totally because I know how beer can mess with your family. Beer is not a joke. You'll start without knowing, where you're saying that you are not a drunkard, you're not a drunkard, without knowing one of these fine days you are hit by some depressing moment, and then you get yourself being what you alcohol. So in this case, these guys started producing new brands, and those new brands really were able to move very well in the market. And surprisingly, when we went back to do a post-implementation research, we realized that we had more men drinking these snap and ciders as compared to women. So then, of course, we were able to conclude that even before introduction of this, there were men who were also suffering in silence. What am I alluding to, ladies and gentlemen? The fact is, if you would want to excel as a company, then you must be able to invest in new products. This thing of saying that I would want to specialize is hogwash, useless thing. Because what do you specialize in? If it is this teaching that I'm teaching today like this, I'm so sure in the next 5, 6, 7 years, there'll come a younger man who is able to deliver much better than myself. All right? And that is why I need a company that is very, very well diversified. So that when these young men now start running away to form their own colleges with a pool of great portfolios, I'm so sure I'll not lack a very good pension plan. All right? So you must always do what you innovate. A last example, the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Odinga, in 2017, he came and told people resist. People resisted, in this case here, Brookside. People resisted Safaricom. And if you remember all those companies that Baba said resist, they were really, really affected by that resist clarion call. Seriously, like Brookside, their revenues went down by about 50%. More than actually 50%. Those are some of the things in this case that led to a handshake. The same year, Safaricom's revenues went up by 10%. In this case here, it rode up, the revenue of Safaricom rode on innovation. Because it's no longer just a telecommunications company, but it has, in this case here, M-Pesa would get, including some of these senior parliamentarians of ours. You would get like they would close their phones the whole day, but at some point in time, they have to put it on a little bit to see whether there is anybody who has sent M-Pesa. When they do like that, in this case here, those whatever they ran. Safaricom is still getting their money. So they could not continue resisting simply because of what here? Innovation. So ladies and gentlemen, we must innovate, we must look at our portfolios, we must keep on innovating, even ourselves, even at family level, as a husband. We must always keep on doing what here? Coming up with new things. We should be able to discuss new things at family level. For example, you've been investing on land. We need to come and sit down and say, hey, there are new things here. Innovation is a tool of corporate survival, Great. Now, if you allow me, then I'll also be able to take you through very fast, through what we call Fitzgerald and Moon building blocks. In just 10 minutes, this one I'll have to get it here pretty fast. It's called Fitzgerald and Moon. Fitzgerald, 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 and Moon, and Moon, and Moon, building blocks. Very popular in your exams, building blocks. Fitzgerald and Moon, building blocks. Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, when you look at Fitzgerald and Moon, it's here already. Normally, we have 3 blocks of building this house, of building a company. We have 3 blocks of building a company, So I come and I say here, Control C. Then when I come here to my Zoom, I'll be able to come straight away to where I'm able to send a chart and they give you the link there. Great. There it is. You should be able to pick it as well immediately. So then I'll be able to share it here so we can discuss it. So we have here building blocks of performance management. And I'm specifically looking at what we call the building block model. It's there in your syllabus. We read it in the morning. So under building block model, you're being told it looks at 3 areas of performance. We have what we call dimensions, standards, and rewards. So we have here standards and rewards. The foundational stones. So 2 of them, standards. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important that as a CFO, you ensure that employees have targets. They have standards. And they're being told 3 things. That these employees must own this. It must be bottom up. You should start by asking these guys, what kind of dimensions do we put for you? What kind of standards, what kind of targets do we? So in this case here, they have to be owned by the employees. They must be achievable and they must be equitable. Equitable talks about fairness. So what kind of fairness are we looking at here? If you've got 2 employees who are doing brick production for you, these 2 employees, one is a man, another one is a lady. There is no way you would expect a lady, if you have a standard of say 50 bricks per day, you can't expect a lady to do 50 blocks a day. That will be unfair. Because we know that they are of this gender, of course the gender is strong. Remember, tell us that whatever a man can do, a woman can do better. That's true, but you and I appreciate that in terms of energy, we are a little bit as men, much and old than them. So you're saying under the target or standards building block, 3 things. Those targets must be owned by ownership. It's for employees. They have to be achievable. Any common, normal, above average, simply above average employee should be able to achieve them. And then you have the concept of equity. Now, once you have set these standards, ladies and gentlemen, and then these employees are able to achieve them, then the next thing you need to do is to reward them. Please, when you give a promise, never be a promise breaker. Promise breakers don't go very far as individuals and also as organizations. Once in this case here, you have been able to meet, they have been able to meet these standards, and ensure that you have a reward section. And the rewards policy or strategy that you put in place must be very clear. Somebody like Nation newspaper will always give you some write-up where they tell you that if you sell 1 newspaper, the commission is 7 shillings. A simple model, which is very clear. And then this reward has to be controllable by the employee. If, for example, the employee has come to sell Nation newspapers, and then on that particular day, for some reasons, in this case, you're not known, Nation does not produce newspapers. So if it doesn't produce newspapers, and this employee has been there just waiting like the whole day, waiting for newspapers too, that is something that is not controllable from the employee's perspective. So controllability, if it is something that bad has happened, which is not within the control of this employee, please go ahead and reward them nevertheless. And then the reward system must be motivating. Like I remember when I used to teach at Daystar, when I used to teach at JQuat, one of the things that made me to hate university teaching is marking scripts. That is why even here, I really don't like marking of scripts. It's a bad thing. And what makes it even worse, so you get, for example, like a university telling you that when you mark, you get 100 shillings per script. I do not want to do that. And it's tough. That's too little, it's not motivating. So the rewards that you're putting in place, they have to motivate. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please listen. Once in this case here, you take care of this block, the two blocks here, the foundation here, then all the dimensional attributes of this company will be met. Number one, the financial performance will improve. Number two, competitiveness. Your company will be competitive. Your employees will really respect you. The quality will be very high. People here will strive to be innovative. They won't be turning away customers. They'll ask customers, like what KFC did the other day, that we don't have chips now, but now we have got some great ugali for you. That came, of course, because the employees there are very motivated. Then we have the concept of flexibility. That once in this case you have taken care of these two, then automatically employees will become what here? Will become flexible. They'll be able to negotiate and even advise customers whenever things are not working. Let me give you an example. Assuming in this case here, this lady called Judith, I'm assuming, just giving a crazy example for purpose of learning. I don't know whether Judith is married, but assuming that Judith was still a young lady who is looking at getting married, say in a month's time. So one of the things that these ladies will always do is to run very fast, for example, to Dubai, and then they acquire their wedding gowns much earlier. And surprisingly, once they have acquired those wedding gowns, they ensure that they don't even put on weight during that time for that gown to be able to fit them very well. And surprisingly, this lady Judith here will be trying that gown like every day. So she'll wear it, of course, in the house. And then she goes to a mirror, does like this, salutes, but they don't take photos while wearing those dresses. Because that's a unique dress, which should only be captured on camera on the D-Day. So assuming she is putting up at some sister's house, and the sister happens to be having a very young kid. So one of the fine days, as Judith is doing like this, that kid comes up with a porridge, uji, and anamwagilile nguo, papa. Judith, while crying, she comes to your what do we call this, dry cleaning shop, your dry cleaning shop. She's crying, telling you that, you know what, my wedding is coming in 5 days. And now this kid that I could not kill because she's a niece or a nephew has done this to me. So you see, if your employees are not motivated, what they will do, they look at the poll, they'll tell Judith, is it possible you suspend or postpone your wedding? If you're not able to postpone your wedding, then ourselves here, we have a policy. Such kind of a cloth has to stay with us for 7 days. So of course the lady will go out of that door while crying. But if you are so good to these employees, if you have taken care of the standards block, you have given them targets, and then here we have rewards, you are rewarding them. That if they come up with some innovations, you're able to reward them. Trust you me, somebody will run out of the way and tell Judith, you know what? Because of how sensitive your wedding is, these are one lifetime event. What we're going to do is to bend our rules and ensure that we wash this particular attire, and you will come for it in 2 days, and we'll even make it more whiter than it was. Great. But you know what, Judith? The normal guys who give us enough time to wash their clothes, we normally charge 3,000. But for you, because of being a taste, right? You want this thing to be done like expressly, then you'll give us 20,000. Trust you me. Because of the urgency, and because of the status this lady is finding herself in, she doesn't even think about other dry cleaners around there. Her mind is really locked here. So you'll easily be able to earn that 20,000. So ladies and gentlemen, please listen and listen to me very well. Whenever you've taken care of this standard and the reward section, then the dimensions of your blocks here. So remember, these are the foundations. These are the foundational stones. So in this case here, we have once these two are taken care of, then automatically you'll be having a company that is highly profitable. The financial performance will really improve. Number two, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have another dimension on resource utilization, where, for example, if you look at a hotel, I've done so many businesses myself. Some of them succeeded. Some of them, in this case, I never lived to see even their third birthday. Like I tried a hotel here around Ngara. When I say a hotel, I know difference between hotel and a restaurant. You see, a hotel has hotel rooms. So I tried like a small hotel at Ngara. It's called a sari like this. I sold it as a going concern. So here, if employees are not if employees are not really motivated here, resource utilization, like for example in hotels, will really be very, very poor. These guys can decide one day that they are going to lick your sugar like crazy. So if it's their lunch, they may decide in this case here to go and have a meat only, no starch at all. That's why now they look at their weight properly. But you see, the moment they are motivated very well and they feel that they are part and parcel of the hotel, then I'm so sure, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be able to improve your productivity. Those are some of the mistakes we did ourselves, and it's because that day I was also very busy running colleges, etc., and I was also doing some other matatu business at the same time. So I never had time. Actually, those employees, I came to be told later on that if it's, for example, drinks, they used to sell their own drinks. And then, of course, they leave me with rent to pay and the stocks. You know, they don't steal your stocks. No, but they buy. When they went to order from the distributor, they order more. They order more like that. So we have this, so resource utilization. We have things to do with what here, innovation. We have things to do with flexibility. We have something, ladies and gentlemen, here to do with what here, with competitiveness. The company becoming what here? The company becoming competitive. So it's called what here? Fitzgerald and the Moon building blocks. So then in my time, I'll be able to now show you questions. These are very popular, not like the one that we did in the morning. These are very, very popular in your past papers. I'll be able to pinpoint those areas and then you try them. Otherwise, it has been a pleasure hosting you this afternoon, even though it has been quite short, but I believe this session has been very informative. All right. And I'm going to upload this video on YouTube actually. Should you get it on YouTube, because I'll send you the link to Joshua Aura YouTube channel. I expect you guys to give it a thumbs up, share, and then most importantly, you subscribe. Thank you very much. I wish you well in your next lesson. Bye.